of people calling in with questions about eviction, and you kind of guide them through Hapco's process, right?
Yes, I do. So the first step would be to go to our website, hapcophiladelphia.com, and then you would click on where it says services and then eviction, the first tab. You must be a member to use the eviction service. And there are two membership options. There's a monthly membership option and then a yearly membership. If you were to do the monthly membership, you would just have to make sure that you renew every month until the process is complete. So the eviction service page, it gives you a price breakdown and lists the different steps.
And do you, in filing an eviction, need to pay for all of these steps, or may you not necessarily need all the steps?
If you were to go through the entire process with Hapco, you would have to pay for each step. But if your tenant leaves and you decide you do not want to continue with the process, you will not be refunded for what you already paid, but you won't have to make any more payments. So you can stop at any point. But if you were to go through the entire process, you would have to pay each step. It's not all at once. You pay as you go. And the first step would be diversion. Diversion, it's a required step. It's a 30-day process once you're approved. It's basically a mandatory mediation between you and the tenant. At the end of the 30 days, you can say, we did not come to an agreement. I want to proceed with the eviction, but it is a mandatory step in the eviction process.
Mandatory, required by the city of Philadelphia.
Yes. For the eviction process with Hapco, you're not obligated to do diversion with Hapco. You can do diversion on your own. If you do diversion on your own, you do not have to pay that $185. Once diversion is complete, the next step will be the municipal court hearing. It takes about a month and a half to 2 months to get a date. So we get members calling frustrated. Why don't I have a date? I just paid for it, but it takes a month and a half to 2 months. And then Devin, the attorney, will he will go to court, but sometimes the members do have to go.
And then the writ of possession.
If the tenant has not left, that's the next step.
And I know the alias writ.
That's the lockout.
That's the lockout.
Lockout is the last step.
What's the rest of the process to get started?
After you look over the pricing and the different steps, you scroll down. It's going to ask you if it's a residential eviction or a commercial eviction.
Hapco does both.
Yes. Well, let's just say it's a residential eviction. To access the forms page, you would click the blue next step, and it will bring you to the eviction services page, which lists some of the necessary forms for the eviction, like the different licenses you need to do an eviction. You would then scroll down. It's going to ask you if you've already completed diversion. If you have not completed diversion, you will click on where it says upload and pay under diversion form, upload and pay. And if you've already completed diversion, you will click on process eviction. So let's just say you have not completed diversion. You'll click on that upload and pay, and it will bring you to the forms page, which has a list of the forms that you need to upload in a PDF format.
12 steps.
There's 12 forms.
These are the 12 things you must complete in order to start the process.
Right. But if there are no, like, for example, number 10, if there are no violations, you can leave that blank. You don't have to upload anything there.
Okay.
And some of the questions are not really, like number 13, it's not a form. It just asks you, do you have a federally backed mortgage? For question 3 and question 12, you're going to have to click on where it says can be found here. So for example, number 3 can be found here. You click on the blue here and it pulls up the form for you.
And same thing with number 12.
Yep. You click on the blue here and it pulls up the form for you.
What should you do in a situation where you're worried that there's something you can't answer?
Reach out to the office staff. Priya, the executive director, handles all the evictions. She cross-check, look over all the paperwork that you submit.
And so that is the first step if you have to begin with eviction diversion.
Yeah. Now, it's important to note that to do an eviction, you must have your rental license. And to collect rent, you need to have the rental suitability.
And just running down what some of these forms are, you explained the first one, that you need the rental license.
Yeah. Yep. The ledger form, it's the amount owed broken down by month. The front page form, it's the form that says can be found here. Just asks you more about, if it's a residential or commercial property. Notice to vacate. Yeah, members also get confused with this. Now, I will say on the Easy Landlord form, which members have access to for free, that's where you access the lease package, but there are other documents. They also have a template for a notice to vacate. It lists the different breaches and tells the tenant how many days they have to leave. Okay. And it should be sent certified mail. And you should always save the receipt as proof that it was sent. The lease, the owner signed and dated rental suitability. And the rental suitability just means that the property is safe and livable. but that's necessary to have if you want to collect back rent from a tenant. Please certify that the certificate of rental suitability was provided to the tenant along with the Partners for Good housing handout. The Partners for Good housing handout is supposed to be given to the tenant when they move in, as well as the rental suitability. Very important. So the lead questions, copy of any L&I violations. If there are no violations, you leave that blank. Question number 11, please certify that you are unaware of any current L&I violations affecting the property. Yes or no. Question 12, the Hapco submission form, which again, you have to click on the blue here and it will pull up the form for you. Question 13, does the owner have federally backed mortgage? Yes or no.
So once you fill all that out, you hit next. There will be a few more questions.
So if you've already completed diversion, you would just click on where it says process eviction, and it'll bring you to the same forms page. It's a little different though. Question number 6, copy of the email confirmation or approval of successful email from diversion agencies with the EVP number.